what if nobody's coming to me and saying, can you help me with this? Nobody's asking me that. I don't know who my ideal client is. I don't know what their problem is. Catherine, please help me. What would you say to them?
So I have a tool for you.
Welcome to Rocky Mountain Marketing. I'm your host, Katie Brinkley. Join us as we dive deep with the world's leading digital marketing experts every single Tuesday. It's all about giving you the strategies that are working right now, directly from those who are making an impact. With my 20 years of experience, I'm here to help you navigate the world of digital marketing. Whether you're looking to sharpen your skills or transform your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started on today's journey to success. Welcome back to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Today, I'm sitting down with my friend, Catherine O'Leary, and she's coming to us from the great country of Canada. And every time I meet another Canadian, I just fall in love with Canadians even more. Man, all y'all Canadians are like the best people out there. And you don't need to be sorry about anything, really. There's nothing to be sorry about, Canadians. Just stop
It's a
apologizing for
DNA.
everything.
It's a DNA thing.
But Catherine and I had the pleasure of getting to know each other through a mutual friend of ours. And we sat down and started just talking. And as we were talking about what it was that Catherine does, I was like, so wait, I don't really understand. She said, well, let me just show you. And my mind, like, you know, that emoji where the mind is just blown. I think that Catherine saw that actually happen on Zoom. My mind literally blew up in front of Catherine's face. And I am so excited because she said, I'm happy to show your audience what we just did today. And I was like, yes, please come on Rocky Mountain Marketing because this tool is a game changer. So we are going to see the tool in action. So all of y'all listeners here, we're going to talk through it, but you have to head over to YouTube as well. So watch it on YouTube. But Catherine O'Leary is the founder of Client Intelligence Agency, so CIA, where she helps service-based businesses harness client insights for growth. And she's been doing this for over 30 years of consumer insights, and she's had roles at Apple, she's worked at Pepsi, and she specializes in strategies to help boost client retention and revenue. So through CIA, she offers tools like quiz funnels to attract quality leads and enhance client engagement. And Catherine, I'm so excited for you to be on Rocky Mountain Marketing, back in my presence again, because I'm just getting excited thinking about what we were able to do last time just on Zoom, because your tool is an absolute game changer. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's talk a little bit about what you've been doing your work for over 30 years, Apple, Pepsi. Why have you decided to kind of shift gears and focus? Well, tell us a little bit about what CIA does.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Katie, and thank you for having me. I spent 30 years in corporate, up one side and down the other, the Fortune 50, always in that market research role. So always asking a lot of questions of a lot of people globally, and then kind of going through their answers and trying to figure out how a corporation could use that. So what's the new product innovation? What's the marketing strategy? What's the messaging? What's the offer? Pepsi does a good job on making sure that its bundles around Thanksgiving and Christmas are the right products together because they ask their consumers. Apple makes sure that the client satisfaction of their products is high because they ask their consumers. And when I started my entrepreneurial journey, one of the things that I even did with all my knowledge and expertise is that I didn't ask a lot of questions of my clients. And that set me down a couple of rabbit holes that were expensive lessons. So when I came back up for breath, I realized that we're not asking a lot of questions. We're not asking our clients and consumers, what's keeping you up at night? What's that 3 a.m. question? What are you struggling with? What are your dreams? And the Client Intelligence Agency was born of a need to help small businesses and entrepreneurs connect with their ideal clients on a deeper level so that you can build those relationships so that you can retain your clients longer and build that lifetime value. Because what I found, and I don't know, Katie, if you see this too, is that we get so caught up in the lead generation and getting new clients in. And we kind of forget that once they're in, we got to take care of them. And that's the bread and butter of retention. And that's really the bread and butter of consistent revenue and growing your business. So we should be spending as much, if not more, time on that side of our business than on the other. And I think it's imbalanced right now.
You were talking about working at Pepsi and at Apple, and a lot of it comes down to knowing your customer and putting together these bundles. And man, I didn't even really think about that. So as you were talking, I was like, man, yeah, you're right. I guess I didn't realize that Pepsi had partnered with these different bundles. And sure enough, yeah, there I do recognize that now that you mention it. And it comes down to knowing who it is that you're talking to. So what made you decide that this was going to be your superpower, that helping people identify and really harness knowing their current customer and their ideal customer and what their problems are and how to talk to them? What was that light bulb moment for you to be like, this is my superpower and I'm going to go all in on helping entrepreneurs, businesses, solopreneurs get really good at figuring out how to connect and talk to their ideal client and customer?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So it comes down to there's a couple of things. So first of all, 30 years in corporate, I'm kind of burnt out. For where I live in a small town north of Toronto. Um, for me to live to work in the city, it's a 3 hour a day commute, an hour and a half in, an hour and a half back. That got to a point where I was like, no, don't want. And this is all pre-COVID. This is all pre everyone working from home on Zoom. That wasn't a thing at the time, or not as big as it is now. So I was tired. I was tired of the commute. I wanted to do something on my own. And it was born out of really, how can I use my expertise for my own business? And then I actually started in network marketing, which was a great little put your toe in the water kind of business for me. I knew it wasn't my end game, but I got really good at lead generation, and I realized that I was really, really bad at quality lead generation. So I got all these leads and I was calling all these people and I was spending all this money on paid ads and so on. And I was going nowhere. I was barely surviving. So that decision point came where you're like, either I stay in bed and put the covers over my head, I get back in the car for 3 hours a day, or I figure this out. So I decided on figuring it out. I got a coach and he introduced me to a friend of his that was doing quiz funnels. And I had a little bit of a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, this is how I can use my expertise in market research and consumer insights, because you're asking the questions and you're getting the information to be able to strategize. And I did that for a few years, but something was always missing. Like there's something more. Like quizzes are a great tactic, but there's strategy involved in it. And people were really happy to get the tactic to get the leads in, but then weren't using the information on the backside, that just hurt my soul. That you're gathering this information and you're not even looking at it. And this is where your clients are telling you what they need, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not even actually looking at it. So this summer I scrapped it all, like, and pivoted. I blew it all up, and I was like, okay, if I had to start over again, which is what I'm doing, what would I want to make sure that businesses know how to do or could easily do? And the very first thing was market research on their ideal client, because entrepreneurs and small businesses don't think that they have the time or know where to find their ideal clients to ask the questions or any of that. And I was like, I want to solve that out of the gate. Like, just give that to everyone for free. Baseline. Let's all start with the very least understanding our ideal clients better, because that's where we build into the things that corporate does around personalization, customization, specialty bundles. I mean, we're just coming into it's Cyber Monday right now, and all these bundles are coming in, and I'm wondering how much of that is just the entrepreneur sitting behind their desk going, what can I throw together? As opposed to, have you asked your clients what they need? Have you co-created that bundle with your clients? Because chances are good you probably haven't.
And Catherine, this is so important. And I made this mistake with my business for years. I People asked me all the time for help with their podcast strategy, help launching a podcast. Do I do podcast production? And I was like, oh, no, no, no. I just have a podcast. I just have experience in radio. I just love podcasting. And people were asking me for help. And I was saying, no, that's not what I do. And this year in 2024, what if I just did a podcast audit and saw and just opened it up, put it out there onto Facebook and said, hey, if you're looking for help, if you're wondering how I was able to get my show to this mark, to get sponsors, to do this, to do that, and I was going to do a 1-day workshop, would you be interested? And I had a surprising amount of people raise their hand. And I was like, oh, well, people are interested in this. And the people that came said it was extremely valuable. And so then from there, I was like, well, what if we started producing podcasts? And all of a sudden, this whole new revenue stream opened up for Next Step Social. And it's made our business more productive. It's made us a better business. I love podcasting. Nothing has changed. Now I'm just able to help people with their shows. And I'm going off on a tangent here, but you have to know what your audience wants and listen to what it is that they're asking for. Now, if someone is sitting there saying like, well, Katie, your people were literally saying, Katie, do you offer this? And you were saying, no, you were just being silly. What if nobody's coming to me and saying, can you help me with this? Nobody's asking me that. I don't know who my ideal client is. I don't know what their problem is. Catherine, please help me. What would you say to them?
So I have a tool for you. I mean, this is a really common problem where entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs, you'll start a business, and I started my business the same way, where I know I can help people with this problem that I had, lead generation, right? Like quality lead generation was a problem that I had. So how do I solve that? I solved it with quiz funnels to start with. You start a business and you kind of reverse engineering who's the ideal client for that business. It's not necessarily the way that, that it always goes, but that's sometimes the way that it happens. So if you had a tool that said, okay, you know what? These are the people that I'm trying to serve, whether it's individuals or entrepreneurs or corporate. Here's a description of my business. Here are the 3 problems that I solve, and here's the revenue range of the people or the businesses that I want to target, and hit generate. And then a 9-page report comes out that has the psychographics, the demographics, the objections, the client journey, a little intro, a little story about your ideal client. And the cool thing about this is that you can enter all that information, come out with a report, and you're like, I don't want to work with that person. Like, that person does not sound like a person that I want to hang out with by the pool drinking margaritas, right? That doesn't look right. Okay, then whatever you put in your messaging and in the tool needs to be tweaked, right?
Yeah.
So you're attracting by whatever you're using in the tool, that's who you're attracting, right? So it's a little bit of a reverse engineer, but at the same token, it's a little bit of a let me double check that I've got the right ideal client. Or if you've already done the market research, have you done it recently? Like, it's not a one and done game. The way that we
Oh,
describe things have changed. Our
totally.
worries, our aspirations have switched. Have you gone back and checked in with your ideal clients? Even in the last year, I would say 6 months, even there's been a lot of stress, a lot of turmoil, a lot of uncertainty around, worldwide, around numerous things. Have you checked
Mm-hmm.
in? Are you sure your messaging is hitting, right? Because if you're not attracting the people that you want to be attracting, there's a disconnect somewhere. So how do we start figuring that out? And not everyone, like HP and Adobe and Apple, have hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, HP paid us 2.4 million to do a 2-year study on their portfolio lineup globally. I get that not a lot of people have that. So how do we make it easier? How do we get on the same page? How do we make sure that businesses aren't spinning and spending money and going off and buying the new shiny object? Let's stop that. Let's settle down. Let's make sure that we've got our right messaging, our right offer, and our right clients. And let's go from there.
So you brought up so many wonderful points during that. And I think that when it comes down to who it is that you're talking to. Is it somebody that you even want to work with? A lot of reverse engineering. I had to sit down and figure out who it was that I wanted to work with when I started working with my first coach. This was back in 2020. And we sat down and spent, man, a good chunk of time figuring out, well, who's my favorite client? What is it that they do? Well, how old are they? Um, all the things. And it took a few hours of time of us figuring this out, writing it all out, and then I had to work on the questionnaire that I was going to send to Sally and Aaron and all these different clients that made up my ideal client, and ask them these questions and get their feedback. And it was a long process. So if someone's sitting there and saying like, okay, so how long should I plan on this whole thing taking, Catherine? Like we're at a good time right now. We're at the end of
Yeah.
2024, 2025 is rolling around. At the end of today's episode, you've inspired me to really sit down and focus in on who it is that I'm going to be focusing in on for 2025 so that I can be attracting the right people. I do want to get
Mhm.
better leads. How much time should I be devoting to this? How do I do that, Catherine?
So, I mean, the tool that we created is one of the tools in your toolkit, right? So, our tool takes maybe, what was it, Katie, 3 minutes, not even 2 minutes
So
to
wait.
actually,
I just told you I spent about a month worth of
yeah,
time figuring all this out, sitting down with my coach, working on the quiz, writing out the ideal. And you told me now there's a tool that takes 3 minutes to do all that.
takes three
So,
minutes to get to put your business through the filter of these are the ideal clients that are going to be attracted to your business,
okay. So,
right?
so this tool, what's the URL for this, for people to check out this tool? So for those people listening,
Yeah,
where can they go to check this out? And then for everyone that's watching, I would love it if you just quickly walked us through
sure.
how they can do this.
Okay, so the URL is Join CIA Now. There's actually going to be a special URL in the show notes, so you might want to go to that. But join CIA now because you all become agents because this whole branding thing, it's fun. Let's kind of show the audience, and I will talk through this as best I can.
So the reason that I wanted to have Catherine show this, because I know, podcast listeners, you are the main core of my audience here, or it's the audio side of the show. But this is such an incredible tool because I'm not joking when I say I spent months doing this. And I know that AI is out there to simplify things, but this is even faster than the amount of time that you could sit down with just straight chat GPT and asking the questions. Catherine's tool is no joke, like 3 minutes. So, Catherine, for those of you watching on YouTube, I will let Catherine, you can watch while Catherine walks us through this, but this is an absolute game changer for anyone that wants to get more of their ideal clients coming into their funnel. So, Catherine, I'll take it away.
Yeah. And what I also wanted to do, and I don't know if you've read 10x is easier than 2x by Benjamin Hardy. In it, Dan Sullivan actually says, I love AI, but I don't want to be an AI specialist. Like I don't need to be an AI specialist. I will hire people to do that. So I didn't want to necessarily just give everyone like ChatGPT prompts. I wanted to make sure that all the prompts were in the background. I've tested them all in my market research type A personality brain. It took like 2 months to actually test all this to make sure that I was happy that the information that was coming out was correct, as correct as it can be based on what people are putting in. So I don't want you to be an AI specialist. I want you to be the specialist in what you're a specialist in. I want you to stay in your zone of genius, and that's what the CIA is all about: is creating the tools, templates, and community to make sure that you can stay in your zone of genius and you don't have to go off and learn like a whole different thing.
Let's take a quick break. I have to tell you about something that I'm super excited about. If you've been podcasting for a while and you want to start actually making money from your show, you are going to love this. I have an upcoming masterclass where I'm going to teach you exactly how to land top paying sponsors, even if you have a small but loyal audience. It is time to stop waiting for sponsors to knock on your door and start reaching out to the ones that really want your audience. Ready to make it happen? Head to katiebrinkley.live/RMM or head to the link in the show notes. Grab your spot today. All right, let's get back to the show.
So if you go to joincianow.com, you can go into the AI tools and you'll see the Ideal Client AI Toolkit. I have it up on the screen right now. It's 4 questions, right? So it's a kind of a mini quiz. It's 4 questions about your business. So basically what we're doing is we're taking your business, inputting that information and coming out with an ideal client profile. And again, if the ideal client profile isn't what you anticipated or what you like, then we need to go back to how you're describing your business or maybe revisiting the business, right? So it's a little bit of a check on that too. So really simple. I tried to make this as simple as possible. And believe me, I started off really complicated. So, like it took a little while to get down to this point. But we
Well, you
start
say
with
too, Catherine, that that's only 4 questions.
yeah.
How can you get a 9-page report that is so honestly, it's so personal. It's so
Yes.
personal, but with who my client is compared to your client, compared to Derek's client, compared to, Jennifer's client.
Yeah.
All of our ideal clients are very, very different. How on earth, with 4 questions, are we getting a 9-page report? It's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, so I mean, the power of AI is incredible because it takes every piece of information that we're inputting into it and is able to mix and match. So even with 4 questions, you're getting a lot of information. And one of the questions, or 2 of the questions actually, are open-ended questions. So they're text-based. So, as much detail as you put in gives us more information to, on the back end to really kind of flush out what your ideal client looks like. Not only that, but, if you know anything about AI, you know that you can season it and you can kind of train it. We've trained the AI that we use to be a marketing pro, a copywriting, sales. Like we inputted things like 10x is easier than 2x. We kind of utilize some of the best practices out there to train the AI that is actually producing the report. So one of the things I spent this summer doing was saying, no, like you can't really say that. Let's go into the AI. Let's teach it not to do this, this, and this, or teach it to go deeper into this, this, and this. That's why it took me a little while to get this up and running.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, with only
Let,
4 questions, a lot of a lot of other platforms are only using like a fraction of the information that your clients are giving you. This tool uses everything, which is why it's as powerful as it is. So, does that answer your question?
It does. It does. And I think that it all comes down to really you've trained this tool in the best practices and the best ways. So, yeah. 4 questions.
Question
Yes.
number 1, which can take a little time, and this is Katie, like I don't think that the time that you spent trying to figure out, like the month that you spent trying to figure out your ideal client was wasted by any means. Because even this question, this first question, who are your ideal clients? Are they individuals, like direct consumers? So are you a roofer dealing with a homeowner? Are you, an e-commerce store dealing with the stay-at-home mom or whatever? Do you work with solopreneurs? Do you work with entrepreneurs and small businesses? So people with teams. Do you work with medium or large enterprises? Or do you work with other? Maybe you're military, maybe you're nonprofit, maybe you're in the government. So, you can check all that apply here. Right. And again, the tool is able to use all of that. So maybe you work with both. So Katie, for you, let's do you.
Yeah. Let's do me.
Um,
Let's do me.
okay. So who do you work with?
Entrepreneurs and small business owners
Okay.
and medium to large enterprises.
Corporations. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
And then business description. And you can describe your business with as much detail as you'd like, but for the sake of, brevity,
Yeah.
Katie, just give me, 1 or 2 sentences.
Well, we elevate CEOs to become thought leaders and disruptors in their industry.
We
Through
elevate, sorry?
CEOs to become thought leaders and disruptors in their industry through
And
podcasting and social media.
uh, we can thought it through podcaster.
Podcasting and social media.
And so for those on podcast, unfortunately people on YouTube are trying to watch me type, and that's like, you know, it's a little bit of a thing. And there's even spell check. Okay, so and then we go over to the problems that you solve. Now, one of the things we did here is that not everyone, is super specific about the problems that they solve. So,
Turnkey
we
social
have to
media
answer, you have to
management.
answer at
Yeah.
least one, if not three. So,
Okay.
what is the first problem that you'd say you solve, Katie?
Will be turnkey social media management, so they don't have to do their social media anymore.
Okay.
Full service podcast production.
Okay.
And digital marketing strategy for lead gen.
Perfect. Okay, and again, Katie did actually do a lot of kind of behind the scenes work to come up with this, so just get that spelled right. Okay, and the income level of your ideal client.
We'll say between 500,000 and 5 million.
Okay, so this for those listening, basically what we did was we answered a check all that apply with who is your ideal client, being an individual, solopreneur, entrepreneur. We entered in a description of the business, of Katie's business. We entered in 3 problems that she solved, and then we have 2 drop down menus to pick the range of the estimated revenue that her ideal client is, and then we hit generate profile. And as you can see, immediately you start with meet Alex Johnson, and it will come up and give you a little bit of a history of Alex Johnson, who is a fictional character for Katie to get to understand and have a story about her ideal client. It's going through the demographics, the psychographics, the client journey, the challenges that people are facing, their behaviors, their lifestyle, their objections. When you're on a sales call, a lot of us get objections. So it's usually, cost, time, or resources. So how do you actually, knowing what your business is, how are you able to overcome those objections? And the key thing here is also what ends up happening at the end of the report is a really quick 2-page like cheat sheet, because I realize that this is a lot of information. So there's a little 2-page cheat sheet at the bottom of this. So we are done. And what we can do is download it to a PDF. And
So talk to us really quick, Catherine, about why this is so important, like having this fictional character. If someone's sitting here saying like, well, why does this matter? Like, why does it matter what this fictional Zach person, what their hopes and dreams are? Like, why should I care about that? Like, what's the point?
yeah, so for you, Katie, Alex, and we just kind of popped up the PDF. Alex is an inspiring entrepreneur, small business owner who embodies the type of person that you're trying to elevate. He's a founder of a thriving tech startup called Innovate Now. Alex is driven by passion for innovation and a desire to make everyday life easier and more efficient for people worldwide. Katie, that's what you need to talk to. If you want Alex in your community, you need to talk about how he can get his message across with podcasting, or how his, social media needs to be targeted around innovation and making everyday life easier. Some of the challenges that Alex is facing right now is managing social media. He understands the importance of strong online presence, but it's time and resources that are challenging to him. So, Katie, when you're talking to Alex, you need to talk about how you save him time and how you save him resources, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's going to drive him to a decision to actually hire you, right? Or, get closer to that decision. He dreams of hosting a podcast to share insights with a wider audience, but remains unfulfilled due to the complexity of full service podcast production. If you can make podcast production easier on his time and easier on his resources, then he'll be a podcaster, right? He's always on the lookout for digital marketing strategies to generate quality leads, grow business, and navigating the ever-changing digital landscape. I mean, if you don't know this, then how are you going to talk to Alex? How are you going to write the posts that capture Alex's attention? How are you going to understand that he's all about innovation, right? Like, Katie, is this like sounding like
Oh
your
yeah,
ideal
this is
client?
this.
Is this?
Oh yeah, this is exactly my ideal client. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. For those of you listening, Katie and I did not do this beforehand. We have not looked at this beforehand. This is not a magic trick, all right?
Yeah, I mean, like we literally did this right now on the podcast.
Exactly. So, yeah, the report goes through some of the challenges and behaviors. You get an overview. So we start with Alex, and it's kind of a fictional character, but then we get into your overview of your ideal profile, not necessarily Alex, but just in terms of like the general entrepreneur and small business owner. They have big dreams. The medium and large enterprises are looking to shake things up in the industry. So, you've got, there's two different avatars going on here, so you're getting information on both. Katie, what I would suggest is the next time go through this and pick one and do it again, and then go through and pick the other one, and then have a profile for your small business and profile for your corporate, because they're going to be different. They have different 3 a.m. questions. Anytime you have a different 3 a.m. question where your client is waking up and saying, oh my god, in the middle of the night, like, how am I going to, or what is, or I just wish, if those questions are different, you have different avatars, and that's okay.
Yes. No, like I'm so excited with what you're saying because it's so true. There's different avatars, and it's the same with social media. Like this is on Facebook, I have a different avatar than I do over on LinkedIn. And so I have a different message. I talk a little bit differently. I sell more agency services over on LinkedIn. I sell a lot more coaching and, kind of DIY stuff over on Facebook. It's not to say that there's just different offers, different services. And so really understanding you have to have this different messaging for your different avatars. But how are you going to understand this unless you do something like what Catherine and I just did on this podcast episode? And like Catherine, you said, we didn't do any pre-work before this or anything. We literally did this on the call. We're only on, what is this, page 2 of 11. And I just have to ask, why do you give this away for free? I mean, like you really probably could charge money for this, like, and you're just giving it away. Like this is an incredible tool that everyone absolutely should be taking advantage of here. This is like, this will be your Bible going forward into the next year.
So people are charging for this. There are people out there charging for it. My mission and the CIA's mission is to make sure that you have the baseline, which is like just the baseline, because from here the real customization and personalization and client retention and really messaging and targeting and best in class. Let's start co-creating with our ideal clients. Let's never worry about whether or not our offer is right again, because we co-created it. So this is just the start of a really like kind of fun big mission where it's all about relationships and not about transactions, and it's about building those businesses that allow all of us, our clients and ourselves, the freedom and flexibility that we got into running our own businesses for to begin with. Because I think that we get a little lost in the sauce of, oh my gosh, I have to go and launch like 750 times a year, or I have to do this, or I have to buy this, or like, first of all, do you know your ideal client? Because if you don't know your ideal client, you can't sell to them. And what you're going to end up doing is either attracting no one or attracting the wrong ones. And that's not a way to run a business. I know, believe me, I've fired clients before, both on corporate side and on my entrepreneurial side. It's not that much fun.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy to me because it's the last thing you want to do is get a new client and then realize that it's not worth the money, and then of having to, like you said, fire a client.
Just as a quick reference for Katie, her and I want to just see if this is ringing true. The age is typically 30 to 55. We put the income range in location, major urban centers with strong business communities, the occupations, we didn't put in, when we said ideal clients, we put in entrepreneur, small business, and medium and large businesses. But the tool is picked up that you work with CEOs and corporate leaders, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that their education, their family status, they're likely to be married with children. So they've got a work-life balance situation going too, which you can also talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then the psychographics, they're ambitious, they're innovative, they're forward thinking, they're visionaries, which we had in the tool. So that's what it's picking up on. They want to become recognized thought leaders and they aspire to grow their business and influence. Is that, Katie, does that sound right? They want to really grow their.
This is so accurate. It's like to a T, and like we really just put a few minor details in.
You could put probably a lot more into the tool. So what I would suggest for Katie is to separate out the two avatars, and next time that she puts in her business description, actually put in the primary platform that she uses. So if it goes into as LinkedIn, like I talk to medium and small or large corporations about, agency offerings on LinkedIn, and it will come out with like the language and the messaging that is appropriate for LinkedIn because it knows LinkedIn. If you did the exact same information and swapped out LinkedIn for Facebook, you'd get a different report.
Man, well, Catherine, again, tell everyone where they can get this tool. Again, we'll have a link in the show notes, so go there. It's free, which is crazy to me. If people want to connect with you and learn more about what it is that you do over at CIA and connect with you, if they have a podcast and want to, have you as a guest on their show, because this is, again, what this tool that you created, I think is for no matter where you are in your business journey. If you are, 1 year in, 1 month in, 10 years in, having this report for all of your different ideal client avatars it's mandatory. It's non-negotiable. You need to have something like this so that you can create better content. So you can create content that will translate and will connect with your ideal client and customer, and it will help you generate more leads. So Catherine, where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so you know what? I will put my email into the show notes, but the best way to connect with me, honestly, I'm on, like, when you join CIAnow.com, you'll actually join my community. You'll be an agent and you'll become part of the community. I'm in the community all the time. So if you have any questions, we are actually having, in a couple of weeks, we are having a workshop to go through the ideal client profiles, similar to what we just did with Katie, to say, oh, this is what you should be looking at, or this is what it's telling me, because the information is only interesting unless you actually use it. Action means impact. So let's make sure that not only do you have it, but you actually use it. So we're creating a free workshop on the week of December 16th. So anyone that wants to come and learn more and get some tips about, maybe if I run it this way, or maybe if I run it that way, to make sure that you are maximizing the information from it. And then, kind of what the next steps might be.
Amazing. Well, Catherine, thank you so much for creating the tool, but for joining us on Rocky Mountain Marketing today.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. I hope you're leaving with valuable insights and the inspiration to lead your market. If you've enjoyed our time together and found today's podcast episode useful, I have a small favor to ask of you. Please hit that subscribe button to stay updated with the latest episodes. And if you know someone who could benefit from these episodes, maybe a fellow business leader or an aspiring entrepreneur, go ahead and share this episode with them. Let's spread the knowledge and grow together. Also, I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation beyond the podcast. Visit me at katiebrinkley.com to connect, to find more resources, or just to share your journey. And be sure to pick up your copy of my new book, The Social Shift, at katiebrinkley.com/book. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Katie Brinkley, and I can't wait to dive into more strategies and stories with you on the next episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Let's keep on taking your marketing to new heights.